We did do a show about twin flames a few months ago, and why do we really need to find that love inside first before we look for our twin flame?
Have you ever gone out with somebody who you felt was like a vampire? Now, we've all been in situations where that, the partner or the partner you'd like to have as your partner isn't interested enough, but I'm not talking about that. Not the ones who aren't interested enough, but the one who is not interested in a joyous, healing, loving way, but like a vampire. So the reason you have to do this, and this is what I found in Telos, look for the love that you yearn for inside yourself first, in every cell and electron of your heart and soul. Your divine counterpart lives within you. The relationship you seek, the reflection of your direct relationship with your own divine self is that. You will know that you have found it, and it will not really matter what form it takes. Your heart will feel full and completely satisfied. And I know this feeling of being full. I knew that before Brian's gift of this book arrived. I knew this experience months and months and months ago. Long before I read the word full, I was describing it to Gigi and friends of mine as an experience of feeling full, even though anyone knowing the circumstances in the situation would think I'm out of my mind. But it is the feeling from within, not the feeling from without. Because unconditional love lives within you. It is not something you receive, though you can also receive it. But as is very clearly stated in one of the points we're making tonight, if you need to receive it from outside, you're going to have trouble. That's not enough.
Exactly. Now, so how do you encourage your twin flame to appear?
So, again from Telos, at that stage of development, the mirror of perfect love for self will manifest itself tangibly. So in other words, as Bernard Goodman used to say, it appears, it just appears, right? This is divine law and cannot fail you. If it is not manifested, you are not ready. Or on the inner planes, you have chosen to wait. Any waiting period will not matter to you because you will have united in your heart with the object of your yearning and your love. Once you have attained this stage of divine love in your heart, nothing can be withheld from you, not even your twin flame.
I have goosebumps again. Thank you, Susan. Can you tell us how partners can express their sexuality in Telos?
Yes, and again, Telos is this imaginary place, or if you believe in it, then it does exist. But more important to me is the language that we receive in these books. We can merge with each other in a much deeper and more intimate way. When we unite, we merge our physical bodies as well as our chakras in a union of love. We regard the sexual act as a union with the divine, and all of our chakras participate, always in alignment with the heart, which brings a much expanded experience. Our sexual expression is based on engaging the fires of the heart first.
Beautiful. Now we're going into the ultimate merging of people. Can you describe the experience of this magnificent, emotional, physical, and spiritual joining of two souls?
And sadly, most honeymoons do not include any of this. That's the important thing for you to understand. If most honeymoons included this, there wouldn't even need to be family courts. Because this deep experience of unconditional love would be so clear and present that people would work out their differences or they would work out their desire to be apart. It's that they've never merged in the first place that these problems occur. And it's again that vampire who is trying to grab love from outside himself or herself, trying to grab something for himself or herself to become full, not already being full. When two people merge together as the divine feminine and the divine masculine in an expression of divine love, the energy of union resonates throughout the whole solar system. It is felt by the Father, Mother, God. It becomes an act of the union of hearts merging with the Creator energy. This is how we view our sexuality.
Oh my. Okay, we're going to explore a clip right now on twin flames. We'll be right back. Here. And so let's just say that once you find this amazing, miraculous person who is the man or the woman that you have dreamed about, I hate to say this, but can you ruin it? Oh, no.
This is such an interesting question, you know? This is so interesting. Of course, you can make things very difficult for both of you. You can make things very difficult for yourself. That doesn't take too much work. And you can also make relationships difficult for people you love. More importantly, if you don't have the skills that we were talking about, the 6-part conversation skills, then it's almost impossible for any relationship to be completely smooth. Thank you, Fred, for putting that up on the screen. These skills change everything. So if you don't know them yet, if this is the first time you're watching this show, you really want to email me and you really want to get this. You really want to learn this.
Yes, I refer to this list of yours, Susan, daily. It helps me with clarity. And I'd also like to say Susan is the one that contributed in nonviolent communication, the self-empathy, I think the most important ingredient before we speak out. Thank you, dear. Now, how do you protect a very precious relationship?
Now, one of the most important things is you never gossip. You never gossip. Now, I don't mean that you are secretive. I don't mean that you don't share your joy and share your happiness. You never gossip. Gossip is negative words. So you can share your happiness with your friends because, boy, is it going to be inspiring for all of them. Boy, are they going to feel thrilled to know that if you found it and they think there's so much more together than you, then they could find it as well. And it's true, they can. So the danger is negative words. You know, people will say to me, and my mother doesn't like him. And I'll say, really, how many times did your mother meet him? Oh, she's never met him. So we know that the mother, if she doesn't like him, it's because of what the girlfriend said about him. So there's nothing about gossiping that is ever going to be beneficial. Now, the second thing is you don't want to talk about the relationship so much once it's happening, once it's stabilized, once it's real, that all of the life force goes out of it, just flies out the window. I see this a lot with people who have a transformation experience with a meditation master, with Howard Wills, with some divine connection. You can't keep talking about it, because every time you talk about it, we know, every time you talk about something, you change it. That's a proven fact. And so if you want it to stay real and alive and powerful, you want to be really vigilant. Don't talk about it so much. So keep your own counsel.
Keep your cup filled up.
Yes.
Now, I know that you have said that for twin flames you can become they can become total bliss. I love that. But with a few bumps in the road, is that really possible?
Yeah, you know, life has bumps in the road. People may have a health issue. People may have a financial issue. A family member may have an issue. But imagine the joy of facing whatever you have to face when you have somebody who is your other self. And I don't just mean a biological twin. I don't even mean a Siamese twin, heaven forbid. But I mean somebody whose body, mind, and spirit are evolved in the same way that yours are evolved. That's a different thing. It must be wonderful to have a twin. It must be spectacular to have a twin, identical twin, because then they're psychically connected. But this is more even than that.
That's good to know, too. There's hope for everybody. That's what's so fascinating. Now, how can letting your ego take over absolutely destroy a twin flame relationship?
Your ego can destroy everything. You know, your ego can destroy everything. If you don't like the way a day is going or an hour is going, you have to calm yourself down. You have to communicate with your partner in a loving way to discover what's going on with your partner, what changes we can both make in order to have a wonderful day. If you know anyone who does that, please send me their name. They deserve a prize. Because I've been teaching this now for about 19 years, and the only people I've ever met who can do this are people I've taught. And Marshall. That's about it. A couple of people who have taken Marshall's work, nonviolent communication, but really not most of them. So this is a skill level that allows us to create love. It allows us to stay in love. It allows us to generate more love. It allows us to have a level of compassion and caring and kindness and generosity of spirit, and I don't see this very much yet. It's an evolutionary stage that most people haven't risen to yet.
And there you go. What a joy when you live by the fruits of the Spirit. Thank you for that clip. Highly informative. And I know that you have great respect for Charles Mura, who is one of the most renowned teachers of Tantra, the yoga of sex and intimacy. What is so unique about his teachings?
Tantra is very complicated, and he simplifies it. He just says, you have to start by getting into your heart. You have to be in your heart, not in your head. And it's not about performance. And it's not about all the technology, though at some point, you know, you have to learn certain things, particularly if you're a man. You have to learn certain things. It can be tricky. But the most important, crucial shift is that when you are going to be with a partner in a tantric experience, you must be in your heart. And that means you must get yourself there. You can't depend on your partner getting you there. You have to have enough of the technology to get yourself there. So for that, I teach self-empathy. It's the quickest, fastest, most remarkable way to get there.
I write that out a lot. Thank you, Susan. That's helpful. Can you describe the basis of his teachings that you find very unusual?
Well, the reason that most people don't practice Tantra is it's all about withholding orgasm, mostly for the man. Because, you know, many women can have many, many, many orgasms once they've practiced and learned how to do that. But many men will never be able to have more than one orgasm for every number of hours. Then they have to recuperate and possibly have another one. And it depends on age factors as well. So this is a big, big learning curve for a man. And to learn that withholding that energy, withholding that creativity, as Charles Muir calls it, withholding that so that you can continue to connect with your partner, make love with your partner, be intimate with your partner, and never allow yourself to get to that point of orgasm by stopping and starting and stopping and starting. And every time you start in a different way with this deep, loving, intimate, joyous connection with your partner. And, you know, most of us have experienced this once in a blue moon, if at all. So if you're a man and you're listening to this and you're interested, then The Secrets of Female Sexual Ecstasy, which is one of the Charles Muir videos that's fabulous. And then he also has free videos on YouTube, which are a great place to start. And these are absolutely remarkable. it can turn your relationship around. If you're intimate with your partner and there are issues there, whether they're emotional issues or physical issues or both, you learning Tantra and giving this gift to your partner can do everything. And I'm speaking to men when I say that. Now, if you're a woman, you then have to learn how to motivate and inspire your partner to want to learn about this. And that can be tricky. But again, call me for your free session and I'll show you how to do it.
You know a lot of tricks, Susan. Now, is this really healthy? Because I would guess that most men in America have never heard of this, and I'm guessing that they would feel confused.
Yeah. So on the one hand, in order to have prostate health, you have to do certain things in order to have prostate health, which is you have to ejaculate every so often, right? But you don't have to ejaculate every day or every other day or 3 times a day. And so the point is to generate a deep level of unconditional love with your partner. That is the most important attribute of your life. If you're living with someone and you don't have that, then you know what you're missing because it's what you're longing for. And if you're watching this show and you do have this, call 5 of your friends and tell them they need to have this because they don't even understand what they're missing, and then explain to them what they're missing. Okay?
More fun and enjoyment.
Just
Now,
for starters.
if the man is ready to actually climax and the woman is having orgasms herself, won't he feel deprived because perhaps the climax is the whole point?
Again, would be a guy who's never heard about Tantra, hasn't studied Tantra, and hasn't understood that he is using up a lot of energy if he does this all the time, orgasms all the time, that he's not able to keep the creative energy flowing with his partner because, as Charles Muir will say in a lot of the videos that you'll find with him in it, he and his partner talk about how all day they're in this joyous connection. And then she'll go off to work and they haven't had orgasms and they're still in this joyous connection, or she did and he didn't, and then they come back together at the end of the day and they still feel this love and this devotion to each other. And then maybe they'll have more tantric sex, but again, neither of them will orgasm. Then they'll make dinner and they'll eat dinner and they'll go to bed, and this could go on for days and days. And it's just loving and ecstatic and present and joyous.
So, Susan, are you saying that the sex that most people experience isn't great sex?
That's what you guys tell me. You tell me that the sex you're having isn't great sex. Women, you're telling me that you feel alone. You're feeling despondent. He has an orgasm, he rolls over, he goes to sleep. Now that's fine if this is 1953 and nobody knows any better. But this is not 1953. And in all these decades and decades and decades, many of us have learned about Tantra. I lived in India, so it was easy for me. But for everybody else, we live with the internet now, and we live with YouTube now, and we live with the books, particularly books by Charles Muir. And you can learn this. You can start learning this today. And I really encourage you to do it because the loneliness and the despair of most marriages, even people who are still together, even if you're still sleeping in the same bedroom, even if you think you love each other, I hear what it's really like. And it is just a tragedy. And then you watch Charles Muir and his partner, and you see how full of love they feel. They just feel absolutely full of love. And that's how most people want to live.
Another reality check. What about women that are actually holding back, even if they are experiencing multi-orgasms? Is it actually better for them to wait?
Well, it all depends on how you're doing it, you know? So if you're in your heart and you're waiting because you and your partner have decided you want to experience this together, then that's perfection. And if you and your partner have decided that since you're multi-orgasmic, there's no shortage for you, and it's thrilling for your partner and for you, if you're having many, many, many orgasms, then that's perfect. So it's not like there's a law and the rule of the land and you're going to be punished if you do the wrong thing. It's about opening yourself up to an entirely different kind of sensuality and sexuality and intimacy. And that's what I want you to be aware of.
What a great bonding. Now, what is the most important thing for people to remember and to learn so that you can practice Tantra and have a truly thrilling experience?
Well, the first thing is the connection, the quality of connection. So to look into one another's eyes, to be able to be present, to be able to kiss, to hold one another, all of these things, to do this while you are making love, is extraordinary. You know, when you experience this, you know, like me, you're going to say, my goodness, I've never had this before. This is everything I always dreamed of, but I'd never had this before. And when you've had this, it changes everything. It changes your world. You suddenly think that you're not on the planet Earth anymore. Now you're in heaven, truly. And you think to yourself, well, all I had to do was see sexual intimacy in another way. All I had to do was watch a couple of videos or read a book and then start to practice. It's that simple. And yes, if you're with the right partner, it is that simple. If you're not with the right partner, get with the right partner by watching the early parts of this show again, because the first part of this show is about how to be in the state to find that partner. Then this second half of tonight's show is about the unconditional component of sexual love, of physical love and intimacy. And both of these are essential. You're not going to feel thrilled and grateful to be alive unless you have both, because that's life, to have both the joy of connection from your soul to your partner's soul, and also the joy and connection from your body to your partner's body.
Perfect union. Here is the question, Susan, to lead us to another show. What about the people who really are afraid to experience unconditional love because they're afraid actually that they will ultimately lose it, whether their partner will move on or even die?
Well, it's certainly a valid concern that we do change states. Once you find your twin flame, they say you're never going to lose your twin flame, because you can learn how to connect with that person even during the dying and the death process. Certainly there are skills and technologies that people have developed. In fact, somebody that I know in Santa Barbara who does the Shared Crossing Project, which talks about how to learn how to be with your loved one in the early stages of entering into death before you must ultimately separate, and to do this in a conscious and unconditionally loving way is just more of this show taken to the next level and the next level and the next level. There's no time where you are going to absolutely separate. And if you've seen people, known people who've had deep love relationships, they always are still talking to their loved one. It's just as if you're having a long distance relationship, isn't it? You know, you have a long distance relationship, you're thinking about your beloved, you're talking to your beloved, he or she is talking to you. Yes, in this case, you can phone them, you can Skype with them, you can text them, you can email them, you can write them letters, but when somebody is no longer physically present, that doesn't mean that you can't connect. Because every one of my dear friends, after he or she died, stayed in connection with me for as long as I was willing. You know, really, as long as I was willing. And it's something that anyone can do.
And you can help those that
Yeah,
need to find the way to connect.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's important to know.
There are a lot of tools that I teach people to use right before they go to sleep at night. Whether to find your perfect life partner, to find your twin flame, to understand what the depth of union is for you and the other, all of these different things. How to move beyond the fear that someone may feel about finding your twin flame and then losing him or her, which stops so many people from even looking. Yeah, but in fact, if you're afraid of finding something because you're so afraid of losing it, which I understand because I used to be there, then the problem you have is not a twin flame problem, it's a fear problem. It's not a love affair problem, it's a fear problem. Because you can't have the life you wish if you're stopped by fear, not in any area of your life.